Last week, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court called for new congressional districts to be drawn up because right now the congressional districts they have are purposefully designed to overly help Republicans in comparison to the share of the vote that they get. It's one of the worst examples of congressional gerrymandering that we have. And so now those new districts need to be drawn up. And the court is giving lawmakers and the Democratic Governor Tom Wolf until February 15th to come up with a new map. If they can't agree on one by then, the court has appointed a special master to get one in place so that the state's scheduled election primaries can run smoothly. But there was another step to it actually to help them create those new districts. 4 days after its initial order on January 26th, the court issued a subsequent order requiring that the legislature turn over certain data, including geolocation files that contain the current boundaries of all Pennsylvania municipalities and precincts and blah, blah, blah. Basically information that you need so that you can create those new districts and so that those new districts you create are actually more fair and actually represent a community rather than a computer crafted way to get as many Republican congressmen as you possibly can. Now that all sounds good, but unfortunately, the Republicans in the state have listened and they heard, Supreme Court wants us to do that. They've decided, no, we're simply not going to do that. And so the lead Republican in the state Senate is fighting back against this and put out a statement saying, in light of the unconstitutionality of the court's orders and the court's plain intent to usurp the General Assembly's constitutionally delegated role of drafting Pennsylvania's congressional district plan, Senator Scarnati will not be turning over any data identified in the court's orders. And so this is one of two ways that they're attempting to destroy this effort to ungerrymander Pennsylvania, or at least delay it so that it can't go into effect for this year's elections. The other is a more traditional way, and it's a way that Republicans in other states that have had this same sort of change are fighting against it. Last week, Scarnati sought a stay of the January 22nd order from the Supreme Court, claiming that only the state legislature and not the state courts are constitutionally allowed to weigh in on questions of gerrymandering. Which, I mean, look, I'm an American, I pay attention, and I also taught political science courses. I understand a little bit about the distribution of power between branches of government. That's not how it works, buddy, but that's what they're gonna try to do.
So the very first thing you learn in law school is Marbury versus Madison. So that's where the Supreme Court laid down the law, if you will, and established precedent that the court gets to decide what is constitutional and unconstitutional. And we've been following that for well over 200 years in this country. And there's a great reason for that. And what it does is it creates stability, and you know how the different powers apportion within the different branches of the government. What the Republicans are doing is dangerous on a lot of fronts. So Trump is attacking the rule of law at the federal level, saying don't believe the FBI. Some of his supporters are going on TV saying we should not only fire people at the FBI, we should start arresting them and putting them in prison if they don't agree with us. Now at the local level, we've got Republicans saying Marbury v. Madison be damned, our separation of powers and our Constitution be damned. Let's just have lawlessness. Because if the legislature won't listen to the courts, well then how do we decide anything? How do we know who's right? Well, you've totally trashed the rule of law. So please don't pretend you're for the rule of law, because if you're a Republican this day and age, and if you are, then don't vote for guys like this, because they don't represent you. So I think that the courts have to reassert their authority here. Otherwise, we're going to have lawlessness.
Yeah.
Now, and I want you to understand the context here. So Republican says, hey, I think that this is more of a political matter. That's a fine debate, and that's why you take it to court and you argue in court that this should be something that's decided by the legislature. But you have to let the court decide, and if they rule against you, you have to follow their rules. So he says, no, I don't want to. I don't care. If the court rules for me, great, then I win. If the court rules against me, I just ignore the court. Well, then we're not a country of laws anymore. So, and the court didn't say, I'm now going to make all these places weirdly gerrymandered in favor of the Democrats. Of course not. The court said that you cannot divide any county, city, incorporated town, borough, township, or ward except where necessary to ensure equality of population. In other words, they're saying, and by the way, that might not be to the Democrats' advantage. In Pennsylvania, the Democrats are concentrated in big cities like Pittsburgh and Philly. So the court's not telling you, oh, yeah, well, get the Republicans, then we'll draw the districts like this to give the Democrats an advantage. Right now, they're drawn up in a preposterous way that have nothing to do with which city you live in, which county you live in. And that's why even though the majority of people in Pennsylvania voted for Democrats for the House, the Republicans have 13 out of the 18 seats. There's something greatly undemocratic about that. And this is not a national issue. This is strictly a Pennsylvania issue. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has ruled it should be over. So when he does not, look, they don't need his cooperation 100%. They could get the data from other people, and they've already put in a process, and they will draw their lines, etc. But I think that they need to enforce precedent here.
Yeah.
And they should hold him in contempt of court. And if he does not give what the court has ordered, they should lock him up.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have lawlessness if all of a sudden all across the country, Republicans go, if I win, great, if I lose, I ignore it. Then we have madness. And that's not our system. We have a constitutional system. You must listen to the courts.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. And and I don't know, maybe if he gets threat of actually being put in jail, he might wisen up and go, oh, right, Constitution, forgot to read it. Right, I'm supposed to listen to the courts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, imagine if the House and the Senate nationally just started doing this. Yeah, Supreme Court says it, but how many legions does the Supreme Court have? I mean, when we were afraid about what Trump and his enablers would represent, and that we thought this is how democracies fail. This is how we backslide. This is how you get an authoritarian state. It doesn't necessarily just happen with one big thing. It can happen with the destruction of norms over time, not respecting Supreme Courts, destroying the FBI, all these sorts of things, allowing obstruction of justice to become just an expected thing. I mean, that adds up over time, and you have to check it wherever possible. This is certainly a place to do that.
What you just watched was one of the videos that we do today, but we actually do a whole 2-hour show every single day. It's a podcast. You could watch it in video or listen to it as audio. You can download it, you can stream it, and you get it completely ad-free if you could become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.